Alright, and here's a quick video on how to replace the replacement parts and how to replace them on your Ocular Max Backdraft. They've sent some updated parts and we'll show you how those work. I've already done this shoulder over here just so I could figure out how to do it, but we'll show you how to install the shoulder pieces over here on the right shoulder, and for that you'll need these two pieces and the screw that you get. These pieces, two screws, one for each side, as well as a new waist piece that clips in better that will use the screws that are already on the figure. And first off, one of the things you'll notice, people were complaining that there was a big gap here on the arm, and this kind of reduces it. There's still a little bit of a gap, but it fixes that arm piece to look a little better there in robot mode. And this is because people were complaining that this didn't stick in very well, and it doesn't. So we'll show you how to replace this piece as well. Let's go ahead and do the arm. It's a little rough, but first, one of the things you'll notice, it holds it together a little better. And on the original piece, you'll see it's just set up like this, two flat pieces in the middle that bump up against each other like that, or held together with a pin, and then some flat stuff right here. And what's changed is now you'll see right here there's a tiny little peg that plugs into this hole to hold it together a little better, and the bigger part up here has a thinner section that actually plugs into that back section. So yeah. And then the screw goes through versus the pin that holds the arm together. So go ahead and fold this back so you can get access to it. And you're going to need like a small flat screwdriver or some sort of prying tool, because you want to pop these little panels off. It looks like these are the same pieces side to side. So on one side the screw will be in the back, or the pin will be in the back, and one side the pin will be in the front. It varies, but yeah, you just want to get these panels off here. These came off easier yesterday. There we go. You're just gonna get a finger. You can get just a fingernail under there if you can. You just pop it out. They just plug right in there. Unfortunately, that is not the side with the screw on it or the pin on it. So, although actually, you know what? Well, whatever. You do want to get, regardless of whether the pin is visible on the first one you pop off, you do want to pop these off because they're going to swap sides. All right, give me a second. Let me see if I can't get this off of here. And so, of course, the second I get it off camera, off it comes. So you get these off. And again, you do still want to have that screwdriver because, like I said, this is pinned together. There's no screw in there. The pin's up here in the back. But it doesn't really matter which side it's on. And you could have done this before popping these off, but you have to pop these off either way. So it helps to go ahead and get those off. Then you want to kind of come in here where the gap is. And kind of wedge it so you can get under here. And you do have to pry the pin apart. It's not super difficult. Or at least it wasn't on the other side. But you do got to get in there and you somehow separate these two halves of the arm piece. And you want to do it very slowly and carefully because there are some pieces inside here that you really don't want to lose. There we go, just like that. And you do want to be careful sticking it down in the middle here because one of the pieces is the little ratchet piece, which is, as you can see, is very teensy. So you got the ratchet piece, the gear that goes on top of the arm on here like this. And getting this back together can be a little bit of a pain. So go ahead and take the old pieces off. And I found the best way to get all this together, because this isn't attached here, it just kind of rests on top and it doesn't snap into place. So that can be a little loose when you're putting everything together. And the best way I have found, you want, let's see this, you want this in the front. Yeah. So you can see you want this piece facing out. And the best way I found is to take half of it. Again, make sure that this piece with the ridge versus the open side is facing the outside of the robot. And push that on like that. And when you've done that, this piece kind of helps hold this gear onto the arm. So if you take that and kind of push the gear up around there and then squeeze this in, you see now that that piece is holding the gear down so you're not going to lose it. And then once that's done, take the ratchet piece, and again, there's a curved bit, and you want that notch, that triangle there, to face the gear. So you take that and you slide it right in here in the little gap, making sure it's facing the right way. And it'll sit a little crooked. It won't. You can kind of push it up, but it has a tendency to want to fall forward. So when you put this on, you want to kind of make sure you catch that piece. Kind of push that in so it fits right into the slot on the other side. And push that together. And now you can see the arm still maintains its ratchet if you do that properly. And then it's just a matter of taking the screw you got with the piece and screwing it back through the arm. It looks like here, yeah. So put this screw in the back. Take a handy dandy screwdriver and screw it all back together. Make sure to push everything together here and hold it together while you screw it. More torque on this one. This is not going in, and then you've got the piece all screwed together, and then you just take these panels. This one goes on the front, and there is a little notch. There's a circle and a notch. You can see it matches this thing right here. Plug that in, and same on the back. And those arms are fixed. Nope, I got them. Had it facing backwards. And then for the waist, 4 screws here in the back. You want to get all of those out. Usually when I'm doing things like this, if they have deep screw holes like this, I unscrew them so they're disconnected, but I don't dump them all the way out because then it's less likely to lose the screws. And then take the legs out, just like this. Set them off to the side. Now this is actually, one of the screws goes into this piece. This is what allows us to slide and rotate. And this piece actually comes out. When you get the pieces, you'll get the 2 halves as well as the new front piece, like that. And that actually makes it a little easier because what you want to do here, I'm going to bring this down a little bit. It doesn't come with these flaps. There's 2 little screws on these flaps, so you have to take the new waist piece and then unscrew these panels as well. Take them off the old piece. Now the original piece had a little bit of grease in here. So if you want to get some hobby model grease, or I think molybdenum grease, or however you say it, you can do that as well to the new piece. The new piece obviously does not have it. Don't know how well that's showing up. You take the these waist flaps and attach them now to the new waist piece. You can get them started. So the hardest part of all this is that since you're putting the screw through the hole through the first time, it doesn't, you're just swapping a piece out. It's one thing, but getting those new pieces in be a little bit of a pain. But yeah, there's one waist piece. Do the same on this side. Take this off here just so I can get some better leverage on it. All right, the waist pieces are attached here. And then you just reassemble the waist. Now I think you can actually leave the same rear part on, but just for safety's sake, I'm going to swap out both front and back halves. So go ahead and take this, plug the new waist piece through the front of the new waist front, just like that. And there's enough friction here that you can actually kind of snap this on to the ratcheting joint right here. Oop. Okay, that was the right piece. And take the legs. Make sure they go on the correct side. You may need to hold the figure up a little bit for this at this point, just to keep them from falling out, because they do like to. Like that, and then put the new waist piece onto the back. Oh, lost a leg there. And once you hold that together, they're loose and floppy until you put the screws in, but then at least you can hold this together to get the legs in. Then we just replace the screws here on the back. Make sure they're loose enough to come out. You can push them out from the other side as well. Middle, upper. And lower. All right. You want to make sure these go all the way in, or the hips will be too loose. And then you've got your ratcheting hips, you've still got your ratcheting waist, you still got a waist plate here that now locks very firmly into place here on the waist part of Backdraft. And all said and done, he's back together. Okay, his leg's off a little bit to the side, I don't have him posed properly. But yeah, it's actually, it's a little easier when you're not doing it from behind the camera. But like I said, the waist parts are pretty straightforward and self-explanatory. The arms, like I said, you do want to be careful with those gears and ratcheting mechanisms, both when taking them apart and putting them back together. But that should help you do it.